Welcome to the Site-65 podcast. I'm your host, Robert Tomato Peterson. With me, as always, is my fellow researcher, Keegan. Keegan, how are you?
I'm doing good.
Awesome, awesome. And we actually have a new person joining us this week. She's a combat medic. And why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Hello everyone, I'm your friendly neighborhood combat medic, Hana Koizumi. I've been on site for a little bit, but you might not have seen me since I got transferred to another site for a bit, but now I'm at Site-65, and I'm decided to come join because I saw a few episodes, and I was like, you know what, this seems like fun.
Yeah. So we've actually gotten good reception from the other sites about this podcast. I'm very surprised. I'm not happy that, we did get kind of yelled at for the CI hacking in, but at the same time, that's not really our choice. It just kind of happened. So we just kind of had to deal with it. But thankfully, they're going to allow the CI to come back on occasionally. We just have to give them a fair warning, and also there's potential for even the GOC to do shows with us. I've spoken about it to our higher ups, and they're open to working together because it's just a unique way to build relationships with GOIs around us. But for the time being, CI will host occasionally, and me and Keegan will be here. But
Hmm.
Hannah, so you're new to this, and first off, I want to ask you, how's the chicken parm treating you? Because that's what we're eating for lunch today, and I honestly, I think it's very good.
I mean, I've always been a fan of chicken parmesan. Who can go wrong with a bit of chicken parm for lunch? I mean, the one I'm eating is leftovers that I made from dinner, but it's fine.
Fair enough. Um, yeah. So I'm just eating mine. It's pretty tasty. So what I wanted to discuss this week was well, I want to start off with what we've been up to. Um, I feel like that's a good starting point for any of these shows. It's just to let people around the other sites know what we're currently up to. So I'll go first. I'm actually just about to start a short vacation. Because I've been on this site for a very long time and haven't really taken any of my vacation days. So my PTO has been stacking up and up and up. And I haven't really gone around to, seeing my family, spending time with my kids because I'm constantly here and it's very hard to get off site. So I've been given permission to take a little bit of time off of research and, focus on some other things, but I'm still going to be popping in to do this show whenever we do it just because I actually enjoy doing this, talking about this. It's a nice outlet for my thoughts and stuff like that. And I'm actually very surprised at the reception we've got from this. It's been thumbs up across the board. I'm very happy with it. So thank you to everyone listening and everyone, liking and um, sharing these videos across our SCP interwebs. I'm very happy with that. But other than that, I've been finishing up my 6A2 testing. Um, Cracked open his skull again, took out half of his brain, gave it to some research to study. 6A2 seemed annoyed with it. He tried to munch me as I left, but thankfully we got out of the way. Um, and his brain seems to have recovered just fine. That's the one thing I was worried about, was causing permanent damage to 6A2. Even though we want to, get rid of him, it's very hard to do. And I was afraid of like permanent damage because as we were cutting out his brain, he started to kind of mumble and grumble and talk kind of funny. So I actually got kind of sad because I was afraid we were hurting the thing. But, a day later we come back and he's perfectly fine. He's 682 again. So he's still angry and bitter at the world. And one day, I don't know. Do you guys think it would be fun to have 682 on the podcast?
I
I
don't
think
know.
that'd be excellent.
682 is kind of reminds me of an old grandpa. The kind that's like, get off my lawn, you know?
Yeah, except get off my lawn is replaced with I'm gonna eat you, eat your leg.
Yeah.
Um, but no, I agree. I kind of agree with that. He is just an old bastard in some cases. But Keegan, what have you been up to?
Well, I've been still trying to get my 323 test going. They have, unfortunately, the senior agents up above, on surface, haven't really been able to capture him because, after the whole CI debacle, they've been pretty much more higher security now.
Yeah,
So,
understandable.
yeah.
Uh, so Hannah, you are not research, so give us a little insight into what your job is on site and what you do on a day-to-day basis.
Well, first thing I usually do on site is dread the fact that have to be a combat medic and deal with a bunch of people begging me to heal them 24/7. I mean, majority of the time they don't even go to medbay themselves. They just run up to the nearest doctor that they can and it's like, "Hey, can you heal my broken leg?" And we have to be like, "No, go to medbay. There's an X-ray there. We don't know which leg is broken." But I mean, it's not too bad. I quite like my job. Just can be a little bit annoying, and honestly, I avoid E block the most I can due to the fact that um I will say it's the most chaotic section in Site-65
I definitely agree with that.
next to HCC checkpoint.
Oh my god. But HCC checkpoint isn't even guarded anymore. That's the big issue.
Yeah,
You walk by
that's why
and
it's
like
so chaotic because as soon as you get down into HCZ, you don't know where the hell you're going.
Yeah.
I still have no idea why they dug out all these tunnels. Like the like old HCZ was so well put together and it was small, but it served its purpose very well and was very easy to find things.
I guess the whole
Now,
thing.
yeah,
I guess the whole
now I
thing
go
with.
for a jog in HCZ and I can't find anything. But anyways, go ahead, Keegan.
I'm guessing the whole thing with the newer HCZ is to make it more confusing to groups of interest that raid down there, which is understandable, but it gets to the point where, like, we don't know where the hell we're going when we get down there, you
Yeah,
know? Like, I don't know where I can get lost and die down there very much, you
And I
know?
remember
exactly.
I was escorting a researcher. He was trying to do a test, and we spent 30 minutes just trying to find the containment chamber. It was. It turns out it was right next to the entrance.
Yep. I know that feeling tremendously. So I actually wanna talk a little bit about your job, Hannah. Because you mentioned escorting. Do you have I know you're not really clued into what the tests are most of the time. You're just kind of there to make sure things, you know, if people get injured, they go smoothly. But do you have any tests that have like stood out to you that are memorable for any reasons? Any like SCPs you've encountered that like left an impression on you? I'm curious.
Oh, in my time in the Foundation, I've seen quite a few SCPs. Even experienced some myself, actually, personally. Um, trying to think. Well, an SCP that has really sparked interest in me is every sentient SCP. I'm very interested in 7722, 049, 035. 106 is also quite interesting as well.
106
Um,
scares me.
Yeah, so
106, he's a bit scary, but as long as he stays in his box, I'll be fine.
I mean, I get that, but at the same time, it scares me that there exists like a little dimension that he could just take us to. Like if he
yeah.
grabs my leg, it's over. I'm too fat to run away. Like that scares me. And we don't really know what goes on inside of it. We don't really know what happens. All we know is that if you come out of the pocket dimension, you're not going to be looking very good. I believe there was an image passed around site recently. It was like one of those clickbait email scams, and you open up the image and it's a picture of someone who got taken to 106's containment. I'm sorry, pocket dimension, and then got spit out later on, and it's horrifying to see.
Yeah.
And
Horrible.
yeah, I don't like that. That's just he's just kind of down there, not too far from where we are right now at this table.
Luckily, I mean, sadly, within my time at the Foundation, I've had to deal with quite a few, SCP attacks.
Yeah,
It's nothing new
most
to me, though.
yeah, most of the time when an SCP breaches, we just run away. Us researchers, we just hide. We hide in PW containment shelter, and one thing I want to mention, I don't know if this has been discussed before. those couches in the breach shelter in PW, those are prime napping couches. Like,
Right?
they're the type of couch that, like, you find at your grandma's house that's, like, old, but, like, she kept the plastic on, so it's good for, like, a century. And,
Yeah.
they're just good napping couches. I took a nap in there during a recent 682 breach, and I was there for maybe 2 hours, and I just snoozed away. It was perfect.
I've never actually. Well, I have been in the containment shelter, the breach shelter. The couches look pretty. I don't know. I don't think the Foundation is really the best when it comes to picking out furniture.
No, we don't really have a fashion sense, do we? I mean, our uniforms are just plain white robes. Not, I mean, if we're scientists, well, me and Keegan are, so like I don't really expect much, but a little color and flair wouldn't be good. And then you have Darby who walks around wearing a dog head, which is just like creepy, but you know, let him do
I thought
his
that
thing.
wasn't a costume. I thought that was like his actual face.
No,
It's not his actual face? Wow, he lied.
no. He just walks around wearing a dog head.
There was a consultant once who was like a cat person.
Oh
Yeah, we've
yeah.
had a lot of those people. Unfortunately, they keep showing up every time. Every
Well,
time a new
Are they
cat
reality
person.
benders or something? Like,
well,
what are they?
I think they might just be anomalous themselves. Which then how are they,
They may
working
be
at the Foundation
de-
instead of
they may be
being
designated
contained?
as SCPs, but they still work with us because they still they're still valuable.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
kind of like how we
possibly.
let. It's kind of like how we let 999 just roam the facility, and it's technically an anomaly, but it's still kind of part of everything.
Yeah,
Well, 999's also a cutie, so
yeah.
Yeah, and that actually brings me to a segment I want to do. Perfect segue there. Nailed it. So last week we talked about just a random SCP that's on site. And so I want to do the same thing this week, and I want to discuss SCP-999. So for anyone listening who hasn't been to Site-65 and is not aware of the wonders that is SCP-999, SCP-999 is a sentient blob of, what would you guys say, peanut butter?
Peanut butter, yeah, like
jelly.
texture. Jelly texture, like
Yeah. So
the
it's a
hint of peanut
sentient
butter.
blob of jelly, goo, peanut butter, whatever you call it. It's orange. And the thing radiates happiness and peace and love. It is the most adorable, playful SCP you could find. Um, and it's allowed to just free roam the facility. Its main diet consists of candy and sweets. However, we unfortunately can't give it soda, even though it's really cute when it's buzzing and bouncing off the walls. Um, Site administration has asked us not to give it any more soda because the caffeine makes it queasy, but it also makes it hyperactive. But 999 is involved in a ton of tests. We've brought 999 to basically every SCP on site, with the exception of 106, actually, because we're afraid of 999 being taken to its pocket dimension and we're losing it forever. But
Yeah.
we've brought it to 682, and it's had good interactions there. We've brought it to 049. 049 loves the thing. 7722 calls it a heretic of God, but still plays with it. Hana, you mentioned 7722 earlier. Have you had a lot of interactions with him? He's kind of a newer SCP brought to site.
Yes, I have actually.
Yes. Um, he's pretty. I don't know. I would describe him as kind of cool to be around, except all he does is talk about God, which I get it. That's kind of his whole thing. He's very religious. And frankly, he hasn't really bothered me as much as other SCPs have. Like, 035 creeps me the fuck out.
Oh
I don't know. I
yeah.
quite like 035. I think he's very charismatic.
If he wasn't as sadistic and awful, I think
Yeah.
I'd like him a little more. I did a whole interview with him, and yeah, he's pretty sadistic.
Oh, what was your
Almost
interview?
like, well, it was basically trying to most of my interviews are more like psychological based, understanding them cognitively. I think my comparison to 035 was almost like a serial killer in a way, and not in the actual literal sense. I'm talking more or less like actually psychologically. The charismatic part, the luring bits.
He kind of reminds me of a theater kid gone wrong.
Y- yeah.
I actually really like that description. That's a great description. Um, so yeah, that's SCP. As we talked about SCP-999. What are your guys' thoughts on 999? I'm assuming we all love him.
Of course. I really love 999. Honestly, it's one of those. You have the few SCPs that really brings joy to the Foundation because it's a bleak place down here.
Yeah,
With I think 049 with like he does some awful stuff, but he's really nice to talk to. But then you have 999. 999 is just really like he keeps me going. He makes me realize
yeah,
what my job is worth. It's worth more than just death. Really suffering, honestly. And
I agree.
I love that little blob, the little ginormous blob.
He is quite a big boy, though.
Yeah, he's a big boy.
I believe he can actually alter his size. Seen him, like, be bigger and smaller some days.
Huh.
I once we once as a we were in the garage up top, hiding due to a breach,
Yeah.
and out of curiosity, we saw like a little like Mini Cooper parked up there, and we told 999 we wanted to see what would happen. We told 999 we said, "Hey, you see that object over there, that car? It's made out of candy. Can you eat it?" And I swear to God, 999 stretched himself over the car, like
Mm.
completely over the car.
My man became Kirby.
It was adorable. I I gotta find the photos we took of it. It was the cutest thing we've ever seen. It was just 999, but the size of a Mini Cooper, and he seemed happy the whole time. He had a smile on his face. And eventually, he realized the thing wasn't candy and kind of spit it out, which we were kind of surprised that it was able to spit out a car. So 999 has a bit of strength behind them. But overall, my experiences with the blob have been very pleasant.
It's always a joy to see him around the facility, but I mean, I'm probably gonna get into the medical side of it, but 999's also a very great antidepressant from what we've researched.
What have you researched on him? I do know that he possesses some like like he kind of has he kind of gives off like, have you heard of the medicine sertraline? It's an
Yes.
antidepressant, so he gives off that kind of chemical vibe. But
Well,
I'm
when we've
not
done
really.
research, apologies, but when we've done research in the med bay, since medical does do a bit of research ourselves, we've discovered that 999 does possess qualities of being as some sort of antidepressant, just by being around him. Not even you don't even need to touch him; just being in his presence actually gives you the effect of being happy. It rids of any negative effects as well. We've noticed that, and honestly, it's kind of like the study where if you pet a dog, it will what was it? What's the word again? Can't remember. It's something with your lifespan. If you were to pet a dog, it lengthens your
Increase-
lifespan. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah,
We've discovered that 999 could do the same thing by
interesting.
playing with it.
Huh. See, my daily interactions with 999 is that it seems to stop by my office every day about 2 o'clock, and I just throw some Skittles at it, and it munches them up, waves and slimes away. Uh, it's pretty fun. It's something to look forward to toward the end of the day. So, because I think he could say it best, it is kind of bleak down here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the foundations just should start putting up some decorations. The most we get is a Christmas tree during, December.
That's always
Yeah,
nice.
I wouldn't mind like some pumpkins during the upcoming spooky season.
Ah, that's soon, isn't it? 2
Yeah, it's
months.
like 2 months. Yeah, some spooky pumpkins, some jack o' lanterns. That'd be pretty fun. I think maybe a fun test would be give the SCPs on site that have hands tools to carve a pumpkin and see what they carve. They might not understand it. Like I'm sure I'm sure 049 wouldn't understand why we're asking it to carve a pumpkin, but it would
I feel
probably go
as if
along with it.
049 probably would. He seems he seems as if he's the most intellectual SCP at the Foundation.
Yeah, but he has more like European knowledge compared to us, Canadians. Like we're stuck up here in the north, and like we kind of feed off of America in a way, where like we take on
Well, I
their.
thought carving pumpkins started in Europe.
Did it?
I can't remember exactly. I thought I did though.
If
Or like
that's the
Halloween
case,
started
then
in Europe.
if that's the case, then I am completely wrong.
But I don't.
Wow.
It's been a while since I've looked into it.
Okay. Well, fair enough.
I
Uh,
believe 035 would really enjoy that though.
I'm afraid to give 035 tools.
Honestly,
I think
Yeah,
he'll be fine. We just need to keep close eye on him while he does it.
I think that's something we could do. Maybe at a later point, maybe around October. Maybe we could even have the SCPs on to like talk to them. Like I would not mind having 049 sit down and talk to him.
That's if Site Command lets us.
Yeah, but
Or Site Administration.
that is true. Site administration already is giving me the side eye for doing this podcast, but I mean they didn't tell me explicitly to stop, so I'm gonna keep doing it, but
Has Site Command said anything about it?
no, they haven't said anything about it. They just kind of look at me funny.
Sounds like ethics.
I think yeah. I think no, ethics is fine with it. I spoke to a Crow and he was perfectly fine with it.
Oh yeah,
He
Crow is
said
the
as
new
long
chairman,
as
isn't he?
yeah. Uh he said as long as it doesn't get out into the world, like we're not info breaching anything. Like that's fine as long as it's just for other Foundation members. And he said, yeah, the CI thing is, fine. We just have to censor it for CI. So CI is getting the censored version of everything. But as far as the other sites go, like as I said, positive feedback all around.
yeah.
That's good. Has
So
Site
oh,
Inspector
sorry, go
said
ahead.
anything though?
I'm sorry, who?
The Site Inspectors?
I don't really talk to them.
Yeah. We can't
Yeah,
really
they're
talk
too
to them.
busy in their offices.
Yeah, fair point.
I
Or
never.
we
I
could
don't think
ask their assistants.
I've never actually seen one in person.
I've seen
I
quite a few in my time.
I
yeah,
think I've maybe seen one. Can't
I've
remember.
seen two. I've seen two
Hmm.
of them. One was walking by one day, and I asked my coworker. I asked another executive at the time. I said, "Who's the dude surrounded by all the guards?" And he said, "Oh, that's a site inspector." And I went, "Oh, cool." And then one time, I need to get approval for 682-914 cross test, and they said, "Yeah, you need to go to the site inspector." So I waited by his office, and eventually I was called in, and he looked over my document, gave a little chuckle, and signed it and said, "Here you go. Good luck." And he was very soft spoken, but I was very surprised by it. I was expecting them to be a lot like stricter and meaner and ruder because we hear all these things about the site inspectors and administration, and they come off as very scary beings, but he was fine. He was very chill.
I've spoken to a few Site Inspectors in my time. They're, interesting people.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Keegan, I think you said you've seen them.
I think I've maybe seen one. Like you just mentioned all the guards that go by with one person in the middle, like a really nice suit. I think that's one of them because it's gotta be. So I was very curious on what they're working on. Obviously, it's definitely something either classified or obviously need to know basis.
Mhm.
Um,
Well,
I was gonna.
if
What's
you
up?
don't see an O1 surrounding ethics, then it's most likely a Site Inspector being escorted if you see a
Yeah.
bunch of guards.
Uh, hmm.
So one thing I wanted to ask, I should have asked this at the beginning, and Hannah, this is specifically for you. Me and Keegan have both talked in the past about how we ended up at the Foundation. How'd you end up here?
Well, a lot of it is actually pretty classified, but, let's just say, my father was a military man.
Oh,
We
same.
used to go around. I always got dragged around when he got transferred, but I always looked up to him, and I wanted to, be in the military just like him. So eventually, once I turned the age of 18, I enrolled into the military. I believe I actually joined if I remember correctly, I joined the Marines. Oh no, it was the Air Force. I joined the Air Force. And after a while of working at the Air Force, one day I got called by my superior, and when I arrived there, everything just went black. And then I got taken to an area. I can't remember where I got taken to, but got taken to an area where some guy in a bunch of like military equipment was at a table, and he asked me, "Would you like to join an MTF?"
Interesting.
So I used to be in an MTF before I transferred to Site-65. I can't remember which site it was, but I used to be part of an MTF.
Oh,
Wow.
And then I got transferred here, and now I'm a combat medic.
nice.
Awesome. All right. Well, that was kind of the last thing I want to say. We're approaching the end of our half-hour lunch break. So I just want to ask for any closing moments. Keegan, do you have anything you want to say?
I was gonna circle back on what you said about 999, and I would love to actually do a cross test between 999 and 076-2, which sounds strange, but I have a decent idea for it.
Yeah, maybe 999 could cool down that hot head of his.
Yeah, I hope to God.
Yep. No, you hope to 343.
I true. Yeah.
Maybe we could get him on the show one day.
Oh, I'd love that.
Oh, but he's not on
Um,
our site.
oh, yeah, but we just have to make a call to a different site and he could fly over.
What site is he on?
Or teleport over, or whatever he
Yeah,
does.
I think it's Site 15, but I'm not entirely sure. Don't quote me on that. Um, anyways, Hana, do you have anything you want to say? Thank you very much for joining us for this
Of course.
episode, by the way.
I have no personal closing statements that I'd like to make, other than the fact that this chicken parmesan was really fucking good.
Yeah. I finished mine a while ago, but yeah, so yeah, that's it. We're approaching the end of our lunch break. Thank you very much for joining me for this episode. This has been the Site-65 podcast. I'm your host, Robert Tomato Peterson. On behalf of me, Hannah, and Keegan, thank you very much for listening. Have a good day.